All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, John Foss, CW Twin Cities. I'm very excited to be talking with Crispin Glover about his new film, Lucky Day, which is in theaters and available on demand right now. Crispin, tell us a little bit about this movie.
Well, I had a great time playing this character and working with Roger Avary. I'm working with Neil Gaiman right now on American Gods, which is based on his beautiful novel of the same name. And Neil is the executive producer for American Gods. And Roger and he had co-written Beowulf for Roger to direct, but Robert Zemeckis ended up directing it, who I'd worked with on Back to the Future. There had been a lawsuit about the second Back to the Future film because the producers had taken the molds that were used to make the old age makeup for my face, and they made prosthetics to fit onto another actor in order to fool audiences into believing that I was in the second film, which is, of course, illegal. But because of Roger and Neil, what Zemeckis had said was that he would cast the actors that they had wanted to play the characters, and I was who was chosen to play Grendel, which I had a great time doing, and so I'm very grateful to both Roger and Neil for making that happen, because after something like what happened, a lawsuit, you think, well, I'll never work with these people again. But I had a very positive working relationship with Robert Zemeckis, ultimately on two films, both Beowulf and the first Back to the Future film, which I'm in. I'm not in the others. But that was a healing experience. So when I got this script for Lucky Day and read this character, it was just a really complex character. It's a pretty short time period for preparation, but when you have a good opportunity, you just got to go in and commit. And the character is a committed character, and I was glad to commit to this international man of mystery.
Wow, that's crazy. You only had 7 days to get ready for this, and you did a great job. It's a very physical role that you played, and you're speaking a Russian accent too.
Yes.
Or French accent, excuse me.
Yeah.
How did you get into that character and get that accent down in such a short period of time?
Well, you know, there are professionals that specialize in working on dialects. So I had a dialect, a different dialect before within like the first 24 hours, because there were other dialects, foreign dialects I know that I'm a bit more, had a bit more experience with it. Ideally, you know, doing a dialect, you would have years or months or be familiar with it, or weeks even. So it was a very short time period to get to that. But it made sense. There was a certain elegance of the dialogue that Roger had written for the character. So it made sense to just commit and go with that. And like I say,
you mentioned that this was...
like to call the character an international man of mystery.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that this process was a little bit of a healing process from the Back to the Future situation that you went through. For me, growing up and loving those movies, Back to the Future, and thinking that you did such a great job in those movies and were such a big part of it, it's a bummer to hear that that whole process wasn't exactly a good one for you.
Well, I'm not
when
in
you look back, do you think you'll ever...
I'm not in the
Do you think
movies.
you'll ever look back and have good memories about that film?
I'm not in, just to be very clear, I'm only in the first film. I was not in the second or third film. That's what, of course, is very, very, very endlessly frustrating, is that what they did was illegal, and I have to always inform people years and years later, now, you know, that this was not me, which is very frustrating. And there's one producer in particular named Bob Gale who has no repentance on the fact that he was involved in illegal activity. And he said, you know, he's made lies up to try to absolve himself for what he did that was illegal. You know, it's a common thing that criminals will do, where they'll blame the victim of their criminal activity. Well, Bob Gale blames the person of his illegal action for his illegal actions. It's something people really should hold Bob Gale accountable for, because it's one thing to do something, you know, that's wrong, and you can forgive that, but then to, for years after that, not only have not account for that one has done something illegal, but then to blame the person that they stole from for the reason of doing an illegal thing. There's always options before doing something illegal, and Bob Gale doesn't seem to account for that. So
yeah,
that part is frustrating, unfortunately. Had the had it only been working with Robert Zemeckis and there was the first film, you know, I'd be there at the reunion, smiling and happy. But specifically because of the way Bob Gale has dealt with this, it's just very wrong, very wrong way for him to deal with this.
That's unfortunate. All right, well, this next question is a fan question, and this guy is obviously a big fan of yours as well. His name's Kala Johns, and he says he runs the Crispin Glover for Dictator website, and his question is, if, hypothetically speaking, the Library of Congress were to request one piece of your artistic output for inclusion in their most hallowed branch of cultural treasury, but, hypothetically speaking, you were only allowed to submit either your dance scene from Friday the 13th, the final chapter, or your performance of Auto Manipulator, which one would you choose, hypothetically speaking?
Well, being that I'm dictator, as he put on his website, I would make sure it was my own films that I've directed. My films, What Is It?
Which one?
Being that I'm dictator, I'd put all three, What Is It? And the sequel to it, It Is Fine, Everything Is Fine. I have a new film coming out next year, which is not part 3 of the trilogy, that I've been developing for many years, working on for many years. My father's an actor named Bruce Glover. He was in films like Diamonds Are Forever and Chinatown. And this is the first time my father and I have ever acted together in a film. So I'm very much looking forward to having that out next year. And I would certainly put these films in the Library of Congress.
That's awesome. And and when will the third piece of the trilogy that you spoke of, when will that be?
I don't know.
When will you start working on that?
I'm not so concerned about it. I've been working on the trilogies. I started shooting What Is It in 1996. That's, how many years ago is that now? How many years? I don't know. So
30,
yeah,
20.
It's a huge amount of time. So the new film is not part of the trilogy. There's a thematic aspect to the trilogy. I will return to it, but I've needed to step away from it for a little while and do some other thematic movies, which the new movies has a different thematic quality to it. I'm looking forward for people to see it.
Great. And one more quick question. So another famous thing that you were involved in was the Letterman controversy, when it looked as though you almost kicked him in the face.
I can kick.
Okay. I'm going to go check on the top 10.
When they came back and you were gone, what had happened that we missed?
I would have loved to have chatted more with Crispin Glover, but I understand he had a cab to catch.
Did they kick you out, or was that just the end of your segment?
Well, well, it was the end of the segment, as you can see, the segment ended. But I have a book that I've been working on also for a number of years. I've never really publicly said anything in media except for I neither confirm nor deny that I was on the David Letterman show. In the book that I'm writing, I'm talking about a lot of different things that I feel like if one goes into detail, certain things need to be gone into detail to understand the complexity or the completion of it. And this is something that will be in this book in much more detail. If you talk about a lot of things in kind of small sound bites, they don't necessarily make so much sense. But I have two things that I'm looking forward for people seeing, both the film that I've made with my father in it, where he and I are acting together next year, and the book that I have coming out. So people can find out about it on crispinglover.com. And I'm sure I'll be talking about it elsewhere. Thank you.
Very cool. Thank you so much. It's an honor to talk to you. Twin Cities, make sure you check out Lucky Day. It's in theaters and on demand right now. Thanks, Crispin.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
The CW crew on the CW Twin Cities, DJ Bonix, Alexa Score, and John Foss. Like, follow, subscribe to, and love the CW crew.